Hi everyone, how are you today? Hi Ocean Tide. I hope you're doing well. We are going to be discussing this case, going through kind of the court situation. I'm not sure how many of you guys have been following this. Mamta at this point is still considered to be missing. They have not located her at this point. They have not also said that it is her that is deceased at this point. That has not been said. However, the facts are not looking good. During the hearing today, they did reveal that they found a pretty substantial amount of what appeared to be blood staining throughout the master bedroom and like drag marks down the hallway and different things like that. And so this is going to be uh, it's going to be a pretty sensitive topic. And then one thing I definitely want to discuss too is the baby. The baby, after they named him a suspect, you would think that, or once he was on their radar, I guess I should say, as a suspect, you would think that they would have removed her child from the home in order to make sure that she was safe and make sure that she was being cared for properly and different things like that. Especially with the amount of family annihilators and things like that that we see throughout this world, and they didn't. They removed the baby after he was arrested. They removed the baby and took her into social services custody and left her alone with this monster for 3 weeks. 3 weeks that he had custody of this child, even while he was a suspect. Hi, Chicken Lady. How are you? Hi, Victoria. You've been watching all the different news channels about this for sure. Hi, Fly Girl. Um, I have been in and out today, and so I wasn't able to go live earlier whenever all the information was coming out, but I do hope that everybody's able to join us. This isn't really our typical time for a Friday, but uh had some free time. So do want to jump into this and start to discuss all the different things that we're finding out. I'm gonna start with this this press conference of sorts that they came out and talked to us. It was the friends and family of Mamta who came out after court today and discussed some things. And so this is about a 7-minute video um, that we will take a look at.
In a minute. I think we're all in a state of shock. Again, the details that came out were way more horrifying than I would have expected. It sounds whatever happened in that house reached a high level of brutality. Um, and that makes me sad to think that my mom suffered greatly in her last, what appears to be her last moments. Um, and hearing about the state of the house and that his actions that were taken were way beyond what we expected. A lot of us were at the briefing with Chief Lugo yesterday, and I can tell you those types of details, rightly so, were not shared. So I don't think we understood the depth of evidence that was retrieved out of that residence. But with that being said, I think there's a sense of confidence that we know that there is one charge that is grounded in evidence, and likely higher charges will come as a result of that
Has
investigation.
anyone spoken with Monta's mother in Nepal that you can explain whether or
Yeah.
not what her reaction is to this arrest?
I have not spoken to her mother. I think I can speak on behalf of the members of the Nepali community. They've been in very close contact. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have seen a video that was uploaded to TikTok, and this video was doing an interview with her dad and her mom. Um, And so they were talking on this video. I can pull it up. It's not going to make a difference if I play it for you guys or not, because obviously it is not in English. However, let me show you guys. So it says Mamta's father and relatives interview. So I shouldn't. Um, it says, here's what Mamta's dad says. He says there was a fight. She was on her period after 5, 6 months. She went to the office hungry. We found out the husband said there is no need to give her food to eat. She was a postpartum mother. She must have been hungry. The baby must have needed milk. Refers to Mamta's mother in law who was living with her at the time. Said she, the mother in law, being a woman herself, failed to understand what it's like to be a woman. My daughter got a criminal mother in law. The mother in law worships God and says She does so and says takes takes off her blouse while cooking, which is a religious thing in some parts of Nepal. The husband, Naresh, and his father would be drunk. One day, Naresh fell down in the bathroom. Mamta said something like, it says, which means a rude comment after someone falls down, like, nice, you got a taste of your own medicine type of thing. After this, her husband and mother in law apparently beat her until she was left with blue marks. Mamta hid this from us. However, we got to know from some of her colleagues at work. And it says, then some of her relatives express their grief, sorrow, and rage. They appeal for Naresh to get the appropriate punishment and hope that he experiences pain and suffering with their for what their daughter went through. And so I think it's important to note, this family is going through a lot right now, and they're it's actually kind of sad the amount of criticism that they are getting. Because of their religion, because of their heritage, and different things like that, and saying like that they covered up the abuse and different things, and it's really just sad. You guys have to keep in mind that this father and this mother have just lost their daughter. It wasn't like they had seen bruises on her. They weren't here. They were living in Nepal at the time of all of this going on, and so they weren't in the United States to step in and change the circumstances in which Monto was living with, day after day. And it sounds like Monto was really confiding in people from her work and people that she was surrounded by, here in America. Again, though, I do want to say that the allegations against the mother-in-law, we don't know how true this is. This is a family who is upset and who is lashing out in pain because they have just lost a big piece of their family. Now, somebody asked, let me see here. Do we know if her family is coming over? So mom has been granted a temporary visa, and so she is currently on her way over to take custody of the baby from social services. And so and I know the Nepali community is doing a fundraiser. I believe they have a GoFundMe that is floating around, to provide. They're intending to put these funds into a trust in order to make sure that Mamta's daughter has care as she gets older, and has those resources. Because here's the sad fact about all of this is this baby, this 1-year-old child, has just lost both parents, because he's going to be gone forever now as well. And they have not said that she is deceased at this point, but the writing on the wall is not looking very good, you guys. It's just, I mean, honestly, they're saying that blood was found. They're saying that there's evidence. They're saying that his vehicle was last seen in the area where her phone last pinged. He had bought knives and different things like that. And so we'll get into some of those details as this press conference type of thing continues, but it's really not looking good. And so this family just really needs our support and our prayers more than they need us to be like, "Oh, well, how dare you, send your daughter to a different country to get married." They were hoping for a better life. Whenever whenever she came over here, she was hoping for a better life. And somebody actually commented and said, the news is actually spreading false information right now, according to some of the comments that I've read, because they're saying that she was in this arranged marriage of sorts. And there's several comments in the family group, well, in the Nepali community group, I guess I should say, that are saying that, this is not, that's not how their arranged marriages work anymore. It's not like that the parents just set up something and they have no choice at all. They said that, she would have fallen in love with him, and then the marriage would have been arranged at that point after they met and fell in love. This was a marriage that was formed in love, just like many other domestic violence and horrible situations turn into. We've seen this too many times, where these situations turn into into one of the partners losing their lives. So The fundraising right now, it is, let me see if I can find the correct GoFundMe. There's two different ones going around. One was made by a friend for the search efforts. That one is over $16,000 right now. The other one was created by the Nepali community with the intentions to provide for the child once he was arrested. And so let me see if I can find the appropriate one, and then we'll go from there. Can't believe the people online are saying yeah, what they would give the parents the baby. Yeah, they I know. They're not friendly people in these groups. It gets disgusting, right? Some comments always get disgusting in these groups. Um, I don't want the community as the whole to receive criticism for how they live. It's just terrible, right? There are people in every religion. There are bad people in every race. There are bad people like, and to say that, oh, because of the way that they are, the way that their religion is, or the way that their families are, or whatever, like, that's not what caused this. What caused this is this man who took it upon himself to let evil take over his body and kill his wife. Right? This is evil to blame. This is this individual to blame. I can name every religion that something similar has happened in. I can name every race that something similar has happened in. This is an evil problem, not a Nepali problem, right? And so that's where I'm at. Let me play this again.
Yeah. So I'm happy to share. I've been authorized to share that her mother has been granted an emergency visa. And so working very hard to get her here as soon as possible. Yeah. Yeah. Mamta's mother. Yeah. Mamta's mother will hopefully be in the United States very, very soon. Because of the efforts of these people, the embassy, all of the government officials that really have helped to push this process through.
Does she have a reaction regarding to the arrest?
I don't have anything that I can know of to share on the record. I can tell you what we've heard is they are deeply concerned. Their message has always been for us to keep up the fight for Mamta. They want answers and they want her back.
Holly, has your mind changed after hearing the details? Because I know there was a lot of hesitancy about the work that was being done and why everything was taking so long. You had that meeting with Chief Lugo last night. Now you hear the in-depth investigation that went inside that home. Has anything changed your point of view after hearing what he said?
Yeah, I will tell you, I've turned into a big supporter of Chief Lugo when I was actually very anti what the action was. I saw him the last 2 days. I gave him a big hug. I gave him my vote of confidence on the behalf of the community, with the understanding that getting this case to trial and hopefully getting a conviction is going to require a degree of secrecy to protect the integrity of the evidence. So while it felt like things were happening, I think hearing what we heard today was, in fact, they were issuing subpoenas, they were gathering evidence. We just weren't able to be privy to it until they could meet the burden of proof to issue an arrest warrant.
There's a lot of community members asking themselves if we have done anything differently. What is your message?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm asking that myself. And I will say, I've said to myself many times that I have failed her. And the truth is, we all have some degree of something that we wish we would have done differently. I will say, what I'm confident this community is going to do is be a voice for Mamta, so that if another woman is in a vulnerable situation, things will be done differently. I don't think we're scared to be aggressive on a woman's behalf anymore.
Did anyone ever know of possible violence?
I think you guys can see there's a lot of things on social media. Her digital footprint is very wide. And I think Mamta, in her own words, shared the vulnerability of her household.
As you sat down and heard what was being said, the exact details, how did that make you feel? Was that shocking? How disturbing was that for you?
Very shocking. I think I'm still in a state of shock, honestly. Um, the last thing we wanted for Mamta was to suffer. And unfortunately, the evidence shows that she did. That she did.
Obviously, she's very loved. For the folks who don't know her, but who may be watching right now, what
Mhm.
can you tell them about her?
I think we all would agree Mamta is one of the sweetest people. She has a very kind and gentle spirit, always positive energy. Even right to the end of her pregnancy, if you look at videos on TikTok, she's dancing, she's celebrating. Like I said, her social media platform was wide, but most of the videos are joyful, dancing, celebrations. Um, Anyone who's met her will tell you she is generally a sweet and kind, loving, dedicated mother, and unfortunately, a dedicated wife.
Would you say you had suspicions against the husband from the beginning?
I mean, I think that all of us would be foolish not to say we were thinking that, but I will say this community and the people that are close to her, we truly have tried to remain neutral. We are not a judge, we're not a jury, and I never wanted to make allegations against somebody. And even now, right until this goes to trial or fruition, we really shouldn't be standing on a seat of judgment.
Anyone else? I know.
Yeah, let's say
Anyone else like to share someone?
I don't think they do, but I know that they want Mamta's voice to be heard.
Alvin, I know you were concerned about their daughter, moving forward, hearing that there was passports ready, that there was luggage ready inside the home for them to, potentially flee, right? Selling a car, looking to sell a home. I mean, walk us through what would have that been like for this 1-year-old, knowing the details that they shared today.
Yeah, I mean, certainly concerning. There was suspicions and rumors that he was preparing to try to leave the country. I will say the community did report that to Manassas Park Police Department. They gave us assurances that they had very close tabs on him, um, and the likelihood of that happening under their watch, I think, ultimately was pretty low that he would do that successfully. With that being said, I think Manassas Park deserves the credit that they did put a safe plan in for baby, to prevent any of that getting away to where we might never see her again.
To talk about her mom again, she has been. How soon, I guess, should we expect her? Like, to fill us in on where things stand with her mom. Mom's mom.
See, brother also got the visa.
So there, I don't know if we have exact travel plans, but I can tell you there's people sooner than later trying to get a ticket here. We've said as a community, there's no cost barrier. We will all come out of pocket. We're not going to let money be an issue for her. So I would say as soon as we can get a ticket, we will get her here.
And you guys have been updating her mom. What is she? What is her feeling knowing what happened to her daughter?
I mean, as a fellow mother, I can only imagine what it feels like to be thousands of miles away. Having a community of people that you don't know loving your daughter as much as we did. But my heart goes out to her. She's going to have to come on an international flight. That's probably going to be the hardest flight. And ultimately, we don't have Mamta yet. So there's not going to be a degree of closure. I think on the good note, right, she's going to be reunited with her granddaughter, and able to really help support her granddaughter. And hopefully that will help her bring a lot of joy. Yeah, thanks, you guys.
Okay, so she summarized a lot of stuff. I do want to address you guys' comments. Um, and so yeah, it sounds like there's old ways and more progressive ways in the culture. And that's exactly the comments that I'm getting. As far as like the Facebook group, there's been several posts about this because, the community as a whole is like, whoa, this is not this is not how the husbands in our community are. Somebody posted, I've been seeing a lot of comments from this person in this group talking about how our culture doesn't let girls choose their husbands and how they're sold to the rich. Sold question mark. We live in a different era now. Even my parents didn't have arranged marriages. They both found themselves in their 30s and got married. You might have only been one aspect of Nepal and its culture, but that's not all we have. All the husbands in Nepal are not Naresh. Let me be clear on that. There are many Nepali husbands who have chose to be a house husband to fulfill their wife's dreams of having a career, taking care of the house, taking care of the babies. I've seen husbands who fund their wife's education for several years until they get their degrees and are able to stand on their own. So you can't just see one thing and be biased for your information as of what I have read, Mamta and Naresh fell in love and got married. It was a love marriage. People change their intentions, and this kind of mishap occurs. Blame the person, not the culture. Criminals are everywhere in every culture. Also, it's not a good thing to blame her parents of selling a daughter to the rich. That rich man was the man his daughter loved and was promising a good future to his daughter. You, as a father, how would you not agree to your daughter's choice? I bet he didn't know all of these would happen. Please, I'm pretty sure all of us are here for Mamta and her baby, so please focus on that rather than focusing on degrading each other's cultures. And that's something that, we have to realize that this does happen in every culture. This type of situation, every religion, every background, this is not something that you can put and be like, oh well, all Nepali men are going to, beat their wives or murder them or things like that. It's just not the way things are anymore. Even if they, or I shouldn't even say anymore, we don't know that that's how they were to begin with. I think that a lot of us do Google searches to try to learn about a culture, and I'm sorry, but Google is not, it's not the best resource to actually learn about each other, especially in such depths as what they are, right? So we have Providence houses here, and they really do much but count. Yeah, so this is the big thing. Domestic violence victims need more resources. A lot of what we see here is her asking for help, asking for resources, asking for advice, asking for all of these things, and yet she did not know where to go. She had nowhere to go because she was here alone. He had all of the control and all of the power. Yeah, exactly, BC. There's domestic violence in every culture. I was trying to look around at the different types of stores in their areas to see what type of 3-pack of knives that could potentially have been sold. And unfortunately, because there are so many different types of stores, I wasn't able to narrow that down. But it is something that I was kind of looking at because to me, I'm curious. Obviously, 2 of the knives were missing that he found or that he had purchased. And so what type of knives were they that he purchased, and what type of situations, what could he have possibly done, basically? This is, I don't know, it's heartbreaking because whenever you look at the information that has been put out so far, um, it's just heartbreaking. Whenever it comes right down to it, I think we are in a situation, and I'm not trying to be graphic and I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but I think that we are in a situation where he either attempted to or did um, separate her from herself, and that we are possibly looking at multiple search locations that need to happen. Chances are he drove around in that vehicle knowing that there was GPS tracking and could have drove around to many different locations. So somebody took notes and wrote it up onto a sheet here from court this morning. And so this is kind of where I'm getting my sources other than the news, obviously. And then this TikTok that I have pulled up behind here. But so remember on our last live we talked about the fact that she had spoke to her mom on July 30th is what mom had said, and I had mentioned that we weren't sure the timeline of when the 30th would actually be because Nepal is ahead of us. And so it does appear now that that conversation would have taken place on the 29th here in the United States, and so there was an additional day gap in between. Oh, no, Casey, you're perfectly fine, and I understand. Um, the DV shelters want an application here. Wow. Your daughter-in-law is from Vietnam, and one of our first conversations, I told her that I don't know much about her culture, so please don't hesitate in telling me if I say something insensitive. I will educate. That's exactly it. We have to teach each other about each other's cultures. Period. After hearing her college roommate on Nancy Grace, he seemed to control her from the very beginning. See, that's sad. Okay, so this says that he made 2 trips to Walmart, 3 knives, 2 of them were unrecovered, and cleaning supplies. So if you look at Walmart, I would assume it's going to be. So if you look at Walmart and you just look up like a 3-pack of knives, there are so many different types that it's really hard to say what type that he purchased without, sorry. It's really hard to say without knowing. Let me pull this down. Exactly what he purchased, what type. If he went to Walmart, I mean, they're saying that there was a set with 3 knives in it, and that 2 of them were missing. But if you look at Walmart and you just type 3 knives, like, who knows? Who knows? So, we will find out more information about that soon, I'm sure, though. So the next thing that they talk about on this, though, is where'd it go? He also purchased cleaning supplies. The prosecutor stood up and he described that the blood was pooling in the bedroom and that there was pink staining on the carpet, and blood under the, it says under the caulking, oh, under the caulking in the tub. Um, he had listed his house for sale. He was trying to do a quick sale on his house, and he sold his Tesla on August 19th to CarMax. And so just 2 days later is when police began getting those search warrants. And so I'm wondering if once he sold that car, since they no longer had to ask permission to search that vehicle, if they were able at that point to get a hold of that vehicle from CarMax and to make their policey type magic happen and take that vehicle into state custody. So that's just my guess, anyways. But so they were concerned that he was going to flee. The community was concerned. You heard her say that they had been raising up red flags and warnings that they thought that he was going to flee and let police know that. Um, and so this is a picture of the back of his Tesla with that license plate showing. I am positive that if you had seen this vehicle sometime around July 30th to 31st in Loudoun County, that the police in this area would be very interested in knowing and having that information, so that they could follow up with cameras, things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, they're going to have the GPS data. They're going to be able to pull all that, but that will take more time than if you just called in a tip. And so here's the phone number. It's 703-361-1136. And so there's that. So let me see here. So the other thing is they said that there was blood in the master bathroom and evidence of dragging the body. He had appeared to be packing. The one lady describes it as the house was packed up. Her latest phone activity was on 7:30 in Loudoun County. He was at a cafe there. On 8/2 is when he declined to report her missing and said that she was with family in Texas or New York. Um, she does not have any family in the US. His preliminary hearing is going to be on October 24th. He requested an interpreter and tried to claim that he's not that fluent in English. There's a couple different posts or videos posted on the Facebook group showing him actually speaking, and he speaks pretty fairly well. Um, I don't know though, speaking well and then having the understanding. It's hard to say how well he understood, if people were like speaking quickly and stuff like that. But I did want to share this interview with you guys actually, because this is another one that I found. They just posted this up yesterday, and it's him saying that he doesn't want to be the bad person. And so this is after one of the, I believe it's after the s- press conference. Let me see if they list a day. Yeah, so this is after that press conference that we watched. I believe it was yesterday. and he did this interview.
With us just some words about helping you out to find her, share flyers, anything like that.
What do you mean?
Just like obviously your wife is missing, and I'm sure you're worried about it, and you to kind of get the community to, if they see her, to give a call, anything like that. Would you be ready to share some words with us?
Yeah, either call to the police or like any of our family or friends.
Yeah. Could you tell me that maybe just on a mic, just to say like reach out, please help us out. I'm sure you're probably really concerned after all these days. It's been 13 days, and I know you have a little baby daughter.
Yeah. So should I I don't know, like should I authorize to come on the media or not? Like I need to ask something and then I can come back in the media.
Oh, so you don't want to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I did not ask them.
Oh,
So I need to ask them. So I'm not authorized or I'm authorized.
I mean, I think it's up to you whether you want to get the word out.
I'm gonna ask.
You want to ask police?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm not on the social media, a lot of stuff coming up. So this and that, this and that. So I don't want to say anything until concerning either a police or some.
Well, we're only using what police has put out. That she hasn't been seen
Right
since.
now, so I don't want to disclose everything because the investigation is going on. So
Okay. Could you? I mean, one word. I mean, did you? Why did it take so long for them to put something out?
I don't want to say. You can ask them. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to know that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not, I'm suffering from a lot. So.
I know. Yeah, and we're obviously trying to do our part because it's been so long, and we want them to help find her. I know you have a 10-month-old. There's a lot on your plate right now, but just anyone's message to help her bring her home if they see her.
That's the message.
That's the message.
Yes.
Okay, to help her bring her home. So you wouldn't want to just say, if you see her.
That's the message. So I don't want to do something wrong. So that somebody say hey, why you? So I don't want to talk to the media. I don't want to be the bad person. Hey, why you talk to the media? I don't. Person.
I don't think it would be bad just to say.
You don't think, but you don't know.
But the message is you want them that if you see her, if you see.
Them either,
okay, it's up to you.
No, I'm not okay right now. I need to know everything plus.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No. I mean, I'm not getting into anything that was on social media. Yeah. I wanted, obviously, just as a husband, you wanted to be like, hey, I'm concerned about my wife.
Can I get to
yes. That's my number.
Loma, thank you so much for becoming a family member. I'm sorry, I was totally just talking and was not even reading the chat. I have to focus. Hi, B Tim. I have to focus once I start going, but it's good to see you. Yeah, he speaks decent, and he seems to understand enough to totally understand that he does not want to be the bad person, right? He knows that they are going to get um he's worried about how his words are going to be twisted, right? Because after his first interview, the internet went crazy, and then after this, he's I mean, they obviously waited to until he was arrested before they released this. You agree with getting him an interpreter. He does seem to speak English decently, but it will reduce the chances of some type of technicality. Yeah, I completely and totally agree with that. Um, you know, the last thing we want is for them to prove or somehow say that he couldn't understand what he was agreeing to at the time that they hit him with some type of charges or get statements from him or anything. So absolutely provide him with an interpreter. Let him let him sit there and pretend like he doesn't understand all he wants. uh, do your thing. You do you, boo, and we'll let you we'll let you talk to an interpreter all you want. You do you. But I know darn well while you're sitting there understanding every dang word that is said to you, that you know that you have dropped the ball. You have failed to get away with this, and your time is coming and justice will be served. Yep. The house was packed up, his passport was ready, he had a bag packed, and I agree with this. If Mamta's friends would not have pushed, he could have been gone. I totally 150% agree with that. I think the only other thing that took place was him being able to sell this vehicle and the police being able to get custody of that vehicle prior to him leaving. But chances are he probably couldn't leave until he sold the vehicle. He probably needed that money. He was likely going to just disappear. But according to what the woman from the community said, the police were already working on making sure that that wasn't going to happen, at least not with his daughter. Now, could they have stopped him from leaving the country? I don't know. Without formally charging him, and I think why they went ahead and placed the charges that they did, which is concealing a body. And they went ahead and did that rather than charging him with murder, rather than charging him with anything else, because they don't have proof that she is the one who is deceased yet, right? They have possible blood evidence. They don't have DNA testing back yet. They just have possible blood evidence inside of his home, and she is gone. She's considered missing still. But they have not yet said that it's hers because they're going to be waiting on testing. But they took him into custody to keep him from going, to keep him from running in the meantime. Now that process, it takes time. It does take time to get the fact if it's blood, if it's her blood, all of those things. But the reality is, they really couldn't arrest him. They really couldn't arrest him without that evidence because in America, you can, as an adult, up and leave whenever you dang want. I could walk away from my home right now, leave absolutely everything behind, and would my husband be would my husband be investigated for my murder, or would they just assume that I'm a gone girl? And I used to think that gone girl situations were ridiculous, like nobody ever does that. Nobody ever just walks away from their children, until I started covering true crime all the time. And it sadly, it happens a lot more than what you would probably like to admit to yourself. Obviously, in this case, that's not what's going on. But we have seen cases where that is the full situation. But I agree. Yeah, had they not pushed to begin with, though, she would have been just another missing person. Just another missing person, just another story that would have faded away that nobody would have paid attention to, and that would have been it. And so that's the sad reality of it.
Here is the rundown. Now, I want to
So she went to court, and she was sitting in the courtroom.
preface all of this by saying that this is an
And so she was there for the arraignment, and she goes through and tells us the details of which they said, right? Yeah, true crime can be unreal. It's true. Hmm.
arraignment. So nobody was testifying, and what we did get was an overview of the evidence that the Commonwealth has as to why they brought the charge of concealing a dead body. All right, so we do learn a lot of interesting facts during this from the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth's attorney, the prosecution, started off talking about the timeline. And the last video I made is how pissed I've been about this July 31st date as the last day she was seen. That is not the day Mamta went missing. Everything happened before that. And when he was charged, the date of offense was July 30th. And let's talk about how they got that. According to the Commonwealth's attorney, Naresh was originally telling people who were calling and asking where Mamta was in those first couple of days. Because remember, she was last seen at work on the 27th. The last time anybody in the U.S. apparently spoke to her was the 28th, and that was the date of her last social media posts. Her mom spoke to her July 30th Nepal time, July 29th here, but nobody could get in touch with Mamta after that, which was extremely out of character. So apparently Naresh was originally telling people that Mamta took off to go stay with family. I couldn't catch where he said she went. Maybe he said New York, but I'm not 100% sure on that. He also said that the reason they couldn't reach her by phone is because she destroyed her phone herself. The updated timeline is
So I did drop the StreamYard link if anybody decides that they want to come up here and just share your thoughts on all of this stuff. Whatever it comes down to is, saying that she destroyed her phone by herself, and this date, this 30th date now. So do you guys think, and I'm curious about this because he was so uncomfortable during that interview, and he was talking about how they sleep in different beds, and sometimes she sleeps on the floor. And the last time he seen her was just before bed, and then he heard a noise, different things like that. Do you think, so do you think that we're looking at a situation where this likely happened on the 29th, and then he was in panic mode or whatever on the 30th and went to go to Walmart and things like that? Obviously, they have him at Walmart on the 30th. I'm curious you guys' thoughts. Do you think that it was premeditated and he purchased the knives and then did this? Or do you think whatever happened and then he decided to go purchase the knives? Does that make sense? Yeah, Oceantide. She was surrounded by amazing people. Absolutely. All of her friends, all of her family, everybody was just there, and making sure that the world knew that she was missing, that she is still missing. They still have not found her. I do have a lot of hope though because of the way that Teslas are, that they will locate her very quickly. For those of you guys who don't know, Tesla vehicles record a variety of data that can be useful for forensic investigators, traffic accident and the analyst. This data includes driving data, speeds, steering wheel angle, accelerator, pedal position, and brake usage. It records events that can be triggered by physical occurrence, such as an impact, GPS trail. Recent model Teslas reportedly record a GPS trail of every trip and share it with Tesla, though some experts question whether the data is anonymized. The data is heavily encrypted and can be stored for over a year, depending on how the vehicle is used. Tesla owners can request their data, including footage from from vehicle cameras, and by signing into their Tesla account and selecting data privacy request. Tesla can also request this data remotely. And so, technically, one of the search warrants that took place could have really been the police requesting this information from Tesla without even seizing the vehicle. Now, seizing the vehicle would help them if there's any blood evidence and things like that in there. But technically, this cloud data could have been accessed by Tesla with or without the car. And so that's one thing to keep in mind if you guys are considering getting a Tesla. You think after. You're wondering if he found out about her trying to leave and plan this. See, I found it odd that she was posting all of this stuff about wanting to leave and looking for advice and things like that on Facebook whenever he is also on Facebook. It's definitely not something wise to do, I would think. The whole community. Yeah, the whole community has been amazing. So regardless, they would have caught him because of the Tesla stuff. If anything, I hope that GPS data, if there is multiple locations where they're going to find evidence, I hope that he was in this Tesla the entire time. I hope that he stopped at every single place and that they're able to easily go to each location. What I am concerned about, however, is like dumpsters and things like that 3 weeks later would have been emptied 2 different times. At least 2 different times. And so if he went the dumpster route, it could make it harder to find any evidence that he could have thrown away.
Is July 29th, her phone was still receiving data, and that makes sense based on her mother's interview. July 30th is when her phone stopped receiving data and all calls started going to voicemail. Mamta's phone last pinged in Loudoun County. Loudoun County is a neighboring county. They didn't say where in the county, but depending on where, it would be anywhere from half an hour to an hour away from her home. Interestingly, Naresh put himself at a cafe on July 30th near where Mamta's phone last pinged. So he put himself in the area of the last ping. So on July 30th, he went to a Walmart located in Chantilly, Virginia. Chantilly, Virginia, that Walmart that they're talking about is probably 20 minutes from his home. And there he bought a 3-pack of knives. 2 of those knives cannot be accounted. The next day, July 31st, he went to another Walmart, this one located in Loudoun County. He didn't say specifically where. If I had to guess, I'd say Sterling. But there he bought cleaning supplies. They do have CCTV evidence of these two Walmart stops. We're going to jump ahead to them doing the search warrant at his home. Now, this is where we found a lot of evidence. So remember when people were saying that they saw police take out pieces of carpet from the home? Well, now we know why. According to the Commonwealth's attorney today, they found what appears to be pooling of blood and blood spatter throughout the home. They were able to find this using blue star technology, is how she referred to it. Basically, that's luminol. And so luminol is a chemical that you can spray and it will react to blood. However, it can also react to different substances such as bleach in the same way. So there is a possibility that this isn't blood, and this does, get brought up later. When investigators entered the master bedroom, they saw that the bed had been moved to a location where it was blocking the master closet. So investigators obviously thought that was weird. When they moved the bed, they saw that there was a stain on the carpet underneath the bed. It was a light pink stain. The investigators believed it to have been a blood stain that was cleaned up. They used the Blue Star tech, and they do believe that it is blood. Then again, using the tech, they saw that this, what appears to be blood, goes into the bathroom, and that there were drag marks from the bedroom into the bathroom. They used the tech in the shower, and it lit up. It lit up like a Christmas tree, indicating that there had been a substantial amount of blood in the shower. So because they found what appears to be a substantial amount of blood in the shower, they physically removed the bathtub. And once they removed the bathtub, they found what to the naked eye, so we're not talking about luminol testing or anything like that now, what appeared to the naked eye to be dried blood in the caulk of the bathtub. So that obviously they took samples and they sent that to the lab as well.
Listen, guys, that's a lot of blood. That is a lot of blood to be able to like get into the caulking and everything else like that. And there's a puddle on the floor in the bedroom. We don't know how deep that puddle soaked in or anything like that, but this is just, it's not good. It's not good at all. And my mind just goes to so many different cases that we have covered, that we have seen other types of incidents in bathrooms and things like that, namely Harmony Montgomery. And my heart breaks, absolutely breaks for this family. This is why you don't think it was a planned attack, but maybe you've just watched too much true crime. Because of how messy it is, BC, that makes the most sense to me too. They may have gotten into some type of fight. Maybe she told him that she was leaving. Maybe she tried to take the baby and leave. We don't know exactly what occurred, but I agree. And the fact that it happened over towards the closet, and that's where like the source of blood gets dragged from there and into the bathroom. Was she trying to pack? Was she getting ready to pack a bag and leave, and then he came over and attacked her? um you know there's so many different possibilities, and none of them are anything that the family wanted to find out. I can guarantee you that. uh it's just, I don't know.
Then they found the cleaning supplies that they saw him buy at the Walmart. Now, the next part that they talked about was whether or not Naresh is a flight risk. The prosecution contends that he is, because they said that when they got to the home to execute the search warrant, that the home was in disarray. They found a bag packed. They found his passport and his daughter's passport as well. Naresh, another big thing, I've been talking since the very beginning about how police need to get the data from his Tesla, the camera data, the location data, all of that data from the Tesla. Well, he sold his Tesla. He sold his Tesla on August 19th, and he sold it to CarMax. So we don't know if police were able to get any of that data prior to the sale, or if they weren't, if they're able to get any data now that it has been sold. I don't know the current location of that car. Now, speaking of selling things, he had also contacted two different people about potentially selling his home in Manassas Park. Okay, so that is basically what we've got from the prosecution. After the prosecution kind of laid out the evidence that they had, then it was the defense's turn. And the defense said that his lawyer said basically, look, I know this looks bad, but looking bad is not evidence of murder. No, yeah, he sold his car. Maybe he doesn't like Elon Musk anymore. Literally, that is what his lawyer said in court. That was like the first thing he said. So he's like, yeah, he sold his car. Who cares? He also brought up the point that We don't know officially from a scientific perspective if what police found in the home was in fact blood. They just found substances that appear to be blood. It needs to be tested, and testing takes time. So, as of this moment, on August 23rd, we don't know if they found any blood in the home. All right. His lawyer also said that, if he wanted to leave, he had plenty of time to do it, which is a fair point because he didn't leave already. He's not a flight risk. Um, he also said,
I would love to know what his bank account looked like prior to selling his vehicle. And I want to know, did his daughter already have a passport, or was that something that he had to like acquire an emergency passport for her? I want to know, did she already travel outside of this country? I'm guessing she probably did, but that's all stuff that plays into this. What was his bank account standing? Did he have the finances to be able to run? I mean, technically, he could have disappeared on July 31st or August 1st before the police ever even showed up, before she was even missing from work. But something tells me he didn't have the financial means to do so. Or this cocky butthead um thought that he was going to get away with this because they always do, right? They always think that they are the crime that is not going to be caught. They always think that they are the smarter than everybody around them and that they have the one up. And it's clear to me that he realized, as the community was not going to stop, that he was not that the community was not going to stop raising awareness about this, and they were not going to shut up, and her coworkers were not going to show up to stop searching for her. That he was like, oh crap, I guess I'm not getting away with this. And then he's like, I got to sell everything and get out of here. So, Chicken Lady, he did. He said that he is the one suffering here. And then he tried to start his own GoFundMe at one point, or they were worried that he was going to start his own GoFundMe. And the Facebook groups immediately were like, do not donate to this man. He is a suspect. And we're like really upset that like he had the audacity to be like, listen, I'm the one suffering here. Um, and so something tells me that, based off of that information, that he likely didn't have the financial means without the money to leave. You wonder how long the apartment has been in the basement. The apartment? I don't know, BC. Yeah, he needed the money. Yeah, thank goodness she had nosy and caring coworkers. Everything that we have heard about Mamta so far, she has been this amazing individual based off of every person that we have seen speak about her. Just the light that radiates off of her spirit. People loved her. People love her. Shouldn't say past tense because we don't know for sure. The police have not said for sure that it is her body that was concealed. Technically speaking, if this is blood in the house, technically speaking, he could have unalived somebody else. Is that likely, considering the fact that she is the one who is missing? No, I don't think that's likely. I think that if it turns out to be blood, that it will be hers and that we are looking at for her. You heard that they were cash poor. All of their money was wrapped up in their home. But again, that's not fact, it's speculation. Right. And so cash poor could probably be a huge thing. He did. He definitely acted weird from day one. I totally agree with that. Um, and I agree that he definitely has some narcissistic tendencies and that he is like, oh, I'm the one who's suffering and I don't want to be the bad guy and all these different things. He would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids, right? And their those meddling coworkers and their pesky need to find their friend. So, let me see here. I just want to make sure. I think we've pretty much gone through all of the details and all of the information, though. For those of you guys who haven't seen, I did put up a couple little short videos just showing the search in the area that they were in whenever they were searching the home. Let me try to pull up the Nancy Grace. BC, can you send me the Nancy Grace on Discord, or is it already in there? Let me grab that real quick. Give me 1 second here. It's in there. Yeah, a pediatric nurse doesn't have a child and celebrate their birth. Yeah, right. It does not celebrate their birthday each year just to take off. I agree with that. Thank you. Oh goodness. It's 43 minutes. I cannot do 43 minutes of Nancy Grace right now. Let me just drop this link for you guys if you're interested in watching the full 43-minute video. Yeah, it does. It does explain a lot. This is an older video though, but it does describe a lot about her character and a lot about her coworkers and the things that she was going through, what she was experiencing, things like that. And so, consider going over to watch that because there is a lot of pertinent information that comes out there. So I'm going to go ahead and close down this live though, you guys. And that's really all we have so far. We will continue to follow up on this. However, whenever it comes down to it, his next court date is not until October 24th. And so I'm not sure how much more information is going to come out until they locate her. That's going to be the big thing. First we will hear if that DNA comes back to be hers or not. If they actually find that it is her blood, if it is in fact blood at that location, and then we might hear if and when they find her. Yeah, the bond hearing is Monday, and then his preliminary hearing is October 24th. I look for more charges to be added, to be completely honest. I think we're in a situation where it's just a matter of time before more charges are added. If you happen to be from that area, this is the vehicle, the back of it. We've seen the front of it on that other thing. But this is the license plate number. If you had seen this vehicle at all, up in Loudoun County on the 30th or the evening of the 29th, maybe even the evening of the 30th of July, it's going to be important. Call it into the police if you have that information. So, love you guys. I will talk to you all later. Bye.